And welcome to Humanist Canada's webinar series. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Anna Popovich and I will moderate today's conversation. This webinar will be 60 minutes in length. We'll have a 45-minute presentation and a 15-minute Q&A at the end of the presentation. However, if you have questions and want to raise your hand, please feel free to do so and interrupt Giovanni. He's cool with that. If not, you can save your question until the end of his presentation. Again, you can ask it directly by raising your hand and I will ask you to unmute yourself. You can also submit your question with a Q&A tool at the bottom of the screen and upvote a written question to move it to the top of the list. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Giovanni Gaetani from Humanists International. Giovanni will talk about the idiosyncrasies of the global humanist movement, the cultural, economic, and political challenges that it faces, as well as the Humanists at Risk campaign launched by Humanists International. Giovanni is the membership engagement manager with the organization. He has a PhD in philosophy from Rome Tor Vergara University and has published 2 books, Atheism and Philosophy Without Gibberish and Against Nihilism, The Atheist and Humanist Wager of Sisyphus. Before joining the organization, Giovanni worked as a volunteer for the Italian Union of Rationalist Atheists and Agnostics, where he won the Best Thesis Prize for his work on nihilism and responsibility at the age of God's death in Nietzsche and Camus. He is also the author of Good Without a God, an illustrated guide to humanism, published in 2021 in collaboration with Young Humanists International. Thanks so much, Giovanni, for joining us, and welcome, and over to you.
Thanks, Anna. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. And I was looking at the list of participants and I can see a lot of names, not a lot of familiar names. It's a pity I cannot see you on video, but I'm gonna try to make this webinar as less boring as possible, because we all know how webinars can be tiring in the long run. So I prepared some questions during the meeting, and there are also some I don't know, interactive game. But since I have a lot of things to tell you, I would like to start straight away. Again, as Anna said, feel free to stop me and interrupt me whenever you want. You can use the Q&A section to send me questions. Anna is gonna help me to moderate them. And at the end of the 45-minute speech, we can have a Q&A session, and I'm happy to reply to all your questions. As you can see from the title of my presentation, today I'm going to talk about the spectrum of global humanism, and then I will focus on the importance of protecting humanists at risk. Some things you might know already about me. I'm Giovanni Gaetani, membership engagement of Humanists International, and I'm Italian, as you can hear from my accent. I will say sorry in advance if I make any mistake in my pronunciation or if I say any gibberish, but I'm still learning my English. And I started working for Humanists International in 2017. And I moved to London in that year just to do this job. But before that, I was working for UAR as a volunteer. UAR is the Italian Union of Rationalist Atheists and Agnostics, which is one of the members of Humanists International. So what is Humanists International? Long story short, is the union of all the Humanists Canada of the world. Basically, we have 124 member organizations in 64 countries. You can see on the map how globally spread is our membership. And of course, Humanists Canada is one of our members in Canada. And again, I want to thank you for this invitation, because it really means a lot to me to be able to speak to 38 people about such interesting subject. So we don't have only members like organizations, we also have individual supporters. This means humanists from all around the world that can support our job, our work. And in this regard, Anna, if you can launch the icebreaker questions, and I hope our friends will be able to reply to the poll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. So we have 38% of participants are supporters already of Humanists International, while 62 is either not a supporter or has never heard about us. So I hope after this presentation, you will be convinced to join us as an individual supporter. We have a 55% of participants are already familiar with the Amsterdam Declaration. And this question about apostasy, just 41% of participants got it right. The answer, we're gonna see it later on. I want to keep a little bit of suspense. So thank you, everyone. And let's get into the presentation. So I'm gonna talk about mainly four things. The first one is, what is humanism? I know that all of you are basically humanists, but since humanism is not it's still a young philosophy, a young life stance, we want to just define a little bit what it is. Then we're going to talk about Humanists International, who we are and what we do. And then I will introduce this concept, the spectrum of global humanism, from organizations that are facing a legal ban to organizations that are legally recognized by the state. And finally, I will talk about our work to protect humanists at risk and how you can contribute to it. So let's start with what is humanism, and let's start with an interactive game. So basically, if you look in the chat, I shared, did I share it with the, yes, yes, I share with you a link. If you can click on that link, it will be great so that I can see your answer. So pick 3 adjectives that best define humanism in your own words. So let me know if you can do it. And then, oh, sorry. Yeah, it should be here. I hope it's working. I can't see. Anna, do you think it's working?
What are we supposed to see?
No, my screen is not sharing now, right?
Yeah, we're looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So as you can see, words are coming, and we're going to create a word cloud. I'm doing this because it's not, we should not take for granted what humanism is, because in many languages, in many cultures, it means different things, as we're going to see it. And also within the humanist community, there's still a lot of disagreement on some tracts of humanism. But as you can see, one of the main word is secular, and I agree that's one of the most important thing. Compassion is really important, apparently, according to our participants, our friends. I can see atheist, support each other, non-theistic, rational. Oh, this is great. Ethical, secular is getting bigger and bigger. This is great. So you're seeing what I'm seeing, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as you can see, one of the main, the 3 main words are ethical, secular, and compassionate. And I think these are actually the 3 key words we're looking for. But as I was saying, humanism means different things in different cultures. So 1 second. Yes, for example, in Arabic, the word humanist is actually a synonymous of humanitarian. And that's a reason why often refugees that come from the Middle East to Europe ask for help to humanist organization, not knowing that we are basically atheists. We don't believe in God, and they are maybe Muslim, so they ask for help to atheists, which is funny if you think about it. In other languages, for example, in Spanish, there are a lot of humanist party in particular in Latin America. But these humanist parties are basically left-wing parties with a strong anti-capitalist ideology, which is not humanism as we intend. In Italy, I know that someone from Italy today, you're watching this webinar. In Italy, we have a problem because whenever you talk about Umanesimo, people think about Renaissance humanism. So we had to actually use a new word to differentiate it from the Renaissance humanism. And finally, this might be weird for some of you. At the beginning, humanism was considered a religion. So there are still some groups which consider humanism a religion, like the Unitarian Universalist, but they are a minority now. So how can we come to terms with all these language chaos, let's say like this? Well, we have the Amsterdam Declaration. The Amsterdam Declaration is the official founding statement of modern humanism. It was firstly published in 1952 during the First World Humanist Congress, where Humanists International was founded. At that time, the name of the organization was different. We were called International Humanist and Ethical Union. Acronym was IHU. Many of you might know this. And basically, the Amsterdam Declaration, which I invite you to read on our website, you can see the URL at the bottom. This Amsterdam Declaration helped us to define a set of common values that humanists all around the world can share, basically. So humanists believe in reason, science, democracy, secularism, human rights, the universality of human rights, which is very important, empathy, solidarity, freedom, and so on. So again, you can have a look at the declaration on our website. It was too long to be copy and paste here. What I can do instead, I can show you the so-called minimum statement on humanism. This is, I think, 93 words that resume to the minimum what we believe humanism is. So humanism is a democratic and ethical life stance which affirms that human beings have the right and responsibility to give meaning and shape to their own lives. It stands for the building of a more humane society through an ethic based on human and other natural values in the spirit of reason and free inquiry through human capabilities. It is non-theistic and it does not accept supernatural views of reality. Now, each member or associate of Humanists International have to accept this statement when applying for membership, and also our individual supporters are meant to subscribe to this minimum statement. So if you are not an individual supporter yet and you subscribe to this statement, please think about joining us as an individual supporter. Now, I think we are on track, yes. We can talk about what is Humanists International. Some of you are already part of a member or an associate of Humanists International, but I'm going to repeat what it is. We are the global representative body of the humanist movement. And we have, again, 124 organizations all around the world. We do a lot of things, and I will try to recap them now. First, we campaign for human rights in general, for everyone, everywhere. And when I say in general, I mean not just for humanists. I mean human rights at the highest level in a global way. We promote humanism as a non-religious, ethical, rational life stance. So this is like our cultural work. We spread humanism through books, articles, events, conference, seminars, and so on. Then our focus is we defend the rights of humanists, especially humanists at risk in certain countries. We advocate for humanist values at the United Nations and other international institutions. We monitor the discriminations against atheists, humanists, and non-religious people, and we inform the relevant stakeholders and when I say stakeholders, I mean other NGOs, the United Nations once again, and our members and associates too. And then we have a network of members and associates, and we support them. We coordinate with them to launch campaign, to run projects all around the world. So once again, this is the map of our membership. And I want to introduce to you our growth and development plan. Basically, every year we launch a grant scheme. This year it was £120,000 to run projects in developing countries, but not mainly in developing countries, but also all around the world. I would love to talk about this part of our work because it's what I do personally, but I don't have much time. So I'm gonna just focus on 3 projects. One of the projects is with Free Thought Lebanon. We are supporting Free Thought Lebanon to expand and to become like the main secular organizations in the country, producing content in Arabic, humanist content in Arabic. And for example, this is the Free Thought of the Week series. As you can see, it's all in Arabic, it's sponsored by Humanists International, and our goal is to spread the humanist message, let's say like this, also in Arabic speaking countries where usually it's very hard to share this kind of message. We are supporting Faithless Hijabi to offer free professional therapy sessions for humanists at risk and apostates in developing countries, because as you might know, being an apostate or a humanist in certain countries comes with a lot of psychological pressure, let alone a physical risk. So we help humanists at risk with free professional therapies. And I don't know if there is anyone who can understand what's written there. This is a Bangla video. It's a video in Bangla made by our associate called Think Bangla. We are funding this project, which basically is a series of videos on climate change. And so, as you can see, our work is very global and at the same time very different. We do many things in many countries. Then we have a department, let's say like this, that focus on our advocacy. In this photo, you can see on the right, Elizabeth O'Casey, who is our Director of Advocacy, together with Ahmed Shahid, which is the Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion or Belief for the United Nations. They were in New York in 2018 presenting the Freedom of Thought report. We will get later to that. So just for your reference, we are not only present at the United Nations in Geneva, New York, we are also present at UNESCO, the Council of Europe, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and other institutions. And we are planning to expand, but it's always hard. What do we do at the United Nations? Well, we basically represent the humanist movement, and we bring their our voice as humanists. So for example, during the pandemic, Humanists International called for a vaccine equitability all over the world. You know, countries in Europe and North America generally have a wealthier opportunity, have more capacity to deliver a successful vaccination program, whereas other people in other countries are still waiting for their first dose. As humanists, we believe we should have an equitable policy about vaccination. But for example, we also bring to the UN the cases of individual humanists at risk. In the photo, you can see my colleague, Qassem El Ghazali. He is an atheist who escaped from Morocco in 2011 and found shelter in Switzerland. And in turn, he went to the UN to highlight the case of Mahmoud Jama Ahmed. We will get back later to it, but I just want to say that this photo is from 11 March 2020, and in April 2021, we received the news that now Mahmoud is free, and also his family is free in France. Now, another thing we do is the Freedom of Thought report. Every year we publish this report, which is unique in its genre. basically what we do is we monitor the discrimination against atheists and non-religious people in general all around the world. This is the map that you can find on our website. As you can see, in the red countries are the worst countries. The green countries are the best one, let's say. And you remember I asked you one question at the beginning of this webinar. How many countries punish apostasy? Well, the answer was 17 countries punish apostasy, and I think we provided the wrong answers, but I apologize for this, my bad. So as you can see, 17 countries punish apostasy all around the world, 5 of them with a prison sentence, and 12 of them with a potential death sentence. It's crazy to think about it. Basically, if you are Muslim and you live Islam, you face either prison sentence or a death sentence. All the countries that you see in this list are Muslim majority countries, except one, Nigeria, which is half-half. The south part of Nigeria is a Christian majority one, while the north one is ruled by Islam. I don't know how many of you know it, but 17 countries brutally repress expression of humanist values around the world. Basically, you cannot campaign for women's rights, you cannot campaign for LGBT rights, freedom of expression, and rationality, atheism, and so on. And if you look at the list of countries, one thing is very interesting, at least from my point of view. China and North Korea are not countries where religion is at the power. They are very atheist countries, yet they repress the expression of humanism. This is because atheism and humanism are not the same thing. To be a humanist, you need to be an atheist, but if you're an atheist, you are not necessarily a humanist. And we can see it in China and North Korea, the repression of dissent and freedom of expression is terrible, let alone the violation of human rights with religious minorities. But we can discuss this later. The final thing I want to mention in this short recap of what we do is the End Blasphemy Laws campaign. Basically, we lead a coalition of organizations from all around the world willing to put an end to blasphemy laws all around the world. This is, for example, a campaign, a meeting we had in 2018 at the Scottish Parliament. And as you will see, we made some progress there. So 68 countries all around the world punish blasphemy. 16 with a fine, like Italy, where I come from, or Spain, or I don't remember what else. 45 with a prison sentence, and 7 even with death. Afghanistan, Iran, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Mauritania, and Brunei. Now, since 2015, when the coalition was launched, we managed to abolish blasphemy laws in these countries, in these 10 countries, if I'm not wrong, 3, 6, yeah, it should be 10. So Malta, Norway, Denmark, France, there's an asterisk there because it was just one specific region that still used to hold blasphemy law, Alsace-Lorraine, but also in that region, France abolished the blasphemy law. Iceland, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Greece, and finally Scotland. So kudos to Canada for achieving this great result. I think it was in 2018, if I'm not wrong. Anna and Martin can correct me. And the great thing is that humanist organizations are always involved in the repeal of these blasphemy laws. And so thank you for doing this. Many of you might ask why the coalition was formed in 2015. Well, in 2015, in January in particular, there was the brutal attack to the Charlie Hebdo offices in Paris. And that was a brutal moment for freedom of expression all around the world. and it was the trigger that the moment we triggered and we said, okay, now we need a coalition like this. So as I was saying, in March 2021, we managed to repeal blasphemy laws also in Scotland, and this was a huge success, and I hope many other countries will follow. The final thing of this recap is the protect humanists at risk. We are going back to this theme later on because I want to focus on this. I now want to introduce the spectrum of global humanism. This is not rocket science. It's not a huge philosophical concept, don't worry, but I think it's a very good framework to understand how different humanist individuals and organizations face very different political and cultural challenges, even though we all believe in the same values. So this is the spectrum. Basically, we have on the right organizations which are legally banned. We're talking about organizations in Indonesia, in Pakistan, in Nigeria, where basically by law, you cannot say you are atheist, humanist, or non-religious. There are organizations in the middle of the spectrum, which is the vast majority. We're talking about organizations discriminated against. And then on the left side, we have the lucky ones, organizations that not only managed to achieve a good results in terms of separation of church and state, but also achieved a legal recognition by the state. So again, organizations on the right side of the spectrum are still fighting for acceptance. Their work, which most of the time is done in hiding, is basically to say, we are good people. We don't want to harm anyone. We simply want to live in a country, in a society where everyone can live freely and believe in whatever they want. Yet, as I said, this is legally impossible. And so they're still fighting for acceptance. Organizations in the middle of the spectrum are still campaigning for secularism. And it's very different to be at the far right part of this section or at the far left of this section. For example, on the far left, we have organizations, for example, in Peru, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Ghana, and they are facing very harsh discrimination. Maybe not persecution, maybe activists are not in danger of losing their life or going to prison, but yet the stigma against humanists is very harsh. While organizations on the on the far right of this section, like the Italians, the British, the New Zealand one, they are not facing the same challenges. And then we have the lucky ones, as I used to say, organizations that are promoting a life stance through humanist ceremonies, through seminars, a cultural campaign, basically. And Martin and Anna can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Humanists Canada is almost within the lucky ones, because in Canada, activists are definitely not in danger. They are not persecuted. There is still a certain stigma against non-believers, non-religious people, but secularism is not yet 100% achieved. There is still a problem of separation of church and state. Maybe if there are other members of Humanists Canada, we can talk about it later during the Q&A. So why is this concept important to me? Because it helps us to understand the different challenges faced by humanists like us. I consider myself a lucky humanist, a privileged one, because I live in a country, the UK, even though I'm Italian, where I can freely express my atheism. I can be as blasphemous as I want if I want. I can love who I want. I love whoever I want. And I can campaign for women's rights. I can campaign for secularism, atheism, without the fear of being discriminated against in public institutions, at work, and so on. Yet there are people who are literally in jail or in hiding or in exile for their humanist campaigning. At the bottom of this, at the bottom of the photo at the bottom is Mubarak Bala. We will talk about him later. He's in jail since 28 April 2020. So it's more than 1 year. We have also Mahmoud, we have Gulalai, and we're going to talk about them later. Then we have organization in the middle, campaigning for LGBT rights, working in court to pass secular laws, or keeping protesting to bring humanist values at the center of the society. And then organizations that are promoting lifestyles, they are celebrating humanist marriages, humanist funerals, humanist confirmations. They are shaping the new generations of citizens that will help to keep those humanist values alive. Now, let me skip this part. Sorry, I want to talk, since we're running late, I think. Yes, I want to focus on this last part. How can we protect humanists at risk? Now, I want to show you a video. It's very short, but I think it's very, very useful to understand what we actually do in this sense. I hope you can hear what it says. If not, Anna will let me know. So 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Can you increase the volume, Giovanni? I bet it's very low.
Sorry?
The volume is very low. Could you increase it?
Oh, the volume is very low.
Possible.
How can I increase my volume?
You have to, Giovanni, you have to share your volume.
Okay, I think, what about now?
Requests from humanists at risk.
Okay, I'll run it again.
Hundreds of humanists face discrimination, persecution, and ostracism due to their non-religious beliefs worldwide. In over a year, we received 200 requests from humanists at risk. 46% of those requests came from the Middle East and the North African region, 31% from Asia, 14% from the rest of Africa, and 9% from other parts of the world. Half of those requests can be traced to 6 countries who are known to have the harshest and strictest blasphemy and apostasy laws. And requests originate from a further 20 countries around the world, but they are more than just numbers, figures, or statistics. They have names, families, and friends. And they have stories. That's why Humanists International is here to assist humanists at risk like them. If this pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we can work together towards a common goal. Now let's make that goal the protection of humanists worldwide.
Are you with us?
Are you with us?
I think it was useful to give you an idea of, on the one hand, how many requests we received, but also to show you on the other hand, the faces of people we're trying to support. So in this regard, let me show you some stats, some statistics. In the last 12 months, we received 200 requests for help from humanists at risk. It's 1.6 requests for help every day. Almost 2 every, almost 1 every 2 days, I'm sorry. And it's very hard to support all of them because we are such a small staff. In case you don't know it, we are literally just 7 staff members. And so this is a lot to handle. And the majority of humanists at risk contact us from these countries. Pakistan is definitely the hotspot of our requests. A lot of requests, I think more than 20%, 25 comes from Pakistan. But then countries also like Egypt, Iran, Morocco, Yemen, Afghanistan, India, Algeria, Bangladesh, Nigeria. They are really harsh with the persecution of humanists at risk. And as you can see already from this list of countries, again, they are for the most part a majority, Muslim majority countries. And so it's not surprised that 58% of requests from help comes from humanists with a Muslim background, 9% from Christian, 2% from atheists, basically with no religious background, and then a 31% of unknown background. My personal opinion is that if we manage to know the background of these 31%, it will reflect this division, and so a lot of them will be from a Muslim background. And then I think a surprising statistics is to know that 82% of humanists at risk that contact us are men. We are speculating on why this happens. My opinion, and the opinion of also my colleagues, is that women are not less persecuted compared to men. Basically, women have a harder time to get access to, for example, internet and any means of communication to reach us. Women have to face more obstacles to set free from religion and then ask for help to organizations like us. So let's give a brief overview of the humanists we are helping. You saw Mahmoud Jama Ahmed. He is safe right now. He reached a country of safety in April 2021. Joseph Moradi flew from Afghanistan to Iran and from Iran to Norway, where he's actually a refugee. Shaktika Saktkumara from Sri Lanka is a writer. He was accused of blasphemy, but then some months ago, he was finally set free. And then we have humanists who are still at risk, like Rish Vinismat from Sri Lanka. He is the only outspoken and public atheist in his country, and he's facing a lot of death threats. Mubarak Bala, I already told you, is the president of the Humanist Association of Nigeria. He has been in jail for more than 1 year. And then, for example, one of the last cases is Saeed Jalbekir, sorry for the pronunciation. He is actually a university professor who dared to say that according to the Quran, you can drink and eat during the Ramadan. Well, he's been accused of blasphemy and now he's facing a potential 3 years in jail. Now, let's focus on 3 stories in particular. Mahmoud Jama Ahmed, which, as I told you, reached safety in 2021. Now, here is a brief timeline of Mahmoud's story. In February 2019, he published a blasphemous Facebook post. Mahmoud was a professor of social science and political science at university in Somalia. And in this blasphemous Facebook post, he said, it's useless to pray to God in order to resolve our drought, the lack of water. We need to apply science and rationality to this. That post was considered blasphemous. And so in March 2019, he started receiving death threats, and finally he was arrested. He was put to jail for 2.5 years in prison, but then in January 2020, unexpectedly, the president of Somalia gave him a presidential pardon, yet under some condition. The first one, Mahmoud won't go back to his university position as a professor, and he will stay silent, not talking about religion anymore and going in hiding, basically. What happened is that in February, some imams in Somalia started launching death threats and fatwas against Mahmoud. He flew to a country, which I'm not gonna say, in March 2020, and then the pandemic started. So basically, Mahmoud and his family were stuck in this country, and it was a nightmare. All the embassies were closed, and we supported Mahmoud with financial support to basically keep the family alive, renting, food, anything. And then in April 2021, thanks to our support, Mahmoud reached a safe place. And we are so happy. And I'm not ashamed of saying that the whole team at Humanists International cried when we received this huge news. And another huge news that we received was in 2019, when Gulala Ismail was reached safely the United States. Now, Gulala Ismail, for those who don't know her, she is the president of Aware Girls, which is an organization that she founded when she was 16 years old, yes, in 2002. Aware Girls is an organization that promotes women's rights and empowers girls in Pakistan. In 2016, Gulalai, when she was still in Pakistan, received the Chirac Prize together with many other prizes, yet she started receiving huge criticism from Islamic group. And in October 2018, after she had a board meeting in London, because she was a board member of Humanists International, Gulalai went back to Pakistan and was arrested. Her passport was confiscated, and then basically she went into hiding, not knowing what to do. In 2019, she reached safely the US and is seeking asylum there. The problem is that now the government of Pakistan is attacking her father, Professor Mohammed Ismail, as a sort of revenge against Gulalai. So these are two positive stories. The problem is that the vast majority of our cases are not, they don't have an happy ending so far. For example, Mubarak Bala spent 300 days in arbitrary detention. Now is even more. I should have updated this slide. I think now it's 400, almost 500 days. Mubarak Bala is a true hero, a true humanist hero. Already in 2014, he was detained on psychiatric ward because he came out as an ex-Muslim, as an atheist, as a humanist. And his father, which is a very, very powerful man in the northern part of Nigeria, took Mubarak and sent him to a psychiatric ward to basically brainwash him. Mubarak spent 18 days in this psychiatric ward, and thanks to the pressure of the global community and Humanists International, was set free. Then, 6 years later, in early 2020, after marrying Amina and becoming a dad, in April 2020, he was arrested after publishing a Facebook post once again. It was a post where he was basically saying that, talking about the Prophet Muhammad and how his message can be used in a violent way. Anyway, he was arrested and is since then in jail. In October 2020, it was one of the worst moments for the global humanist community because we had rumors of his death. But after our investigation and the pressure of the global community, Mubarak was not only confirmed to be alive, but he actually met his lawyers, which is, if you think about it, 6 months after he was arrested, which is crazy. It's crazy. In December 2020, the Abuja court says Mubarak should be set free. Yet, still today, Mubarak is in jail. Humanists International is still campaigning on a daily basis to save Mubarak, but the situation is very, very harsh, and we need the help of the global humanist community. We are paying the fees to hire the lawyers. We are paying the fees to sustain the wife of Mubarak and his son. So we really need the help of the whole global humanist community. And that's why we launched the Protect Humanists at Risk campaign. Everyone can contribute. As of today, we reached the 32% of our goal, which is £25,000. And I'm really, really, really happy to announce that Humanists Canada decided to contribute to this campaign with 1,000 Canadian dollars, which corresponds to 600 pounds, if I'm not wrong. So I want to personally thank Martin, Anna, and all our friends at Humanists Canada for this huge contribution. And if this meeting will be live, I will handle this check to you, and we could have like a great photo together, but we are online, we cannot do it. And again, I want to say that if you are an individual, you can make your own contribution to our campaign, or you can do even more. You can join our global family as an individual supporter. We have different options. You can join on a monthly base, starting from $5 per month, 60 pounds per year, or you can become life supporters with $550 for your lifetime. So I think I spoke, yes, perfectly, 42 minutes. I'm so happy. And I just want to say thank you. If you want to send me an email, this is my email address. And if you're part of a humanist organizations, we can organize an event like this. And yes, thank you. I can imagine you're clapping your virtual hands. And now I am more than happy to reply to all your questions. Thank you again. Oop. All right.
Thank you, Giovanni.
Thank you, Anna. So it was 45 minutes, right?
Yes, perfect. So we can go to questions now. And again, if you would like to ask a question directly and live, please raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute yourself. And the first question we have here, what is your stance on climate change, the organization's stance on climate change?
Thank you, Joan, for this question. Humanists International passed a resolution in 2019, which is called the Reykjavik Resolution on Climate Change. Basically, the humanist community is coming together to tackle climate change because climate change is a human challenge even before than a humanist issue. We believe that climate change is a human problem that can be tackled with reason, science, and global cooperation. And these are all humanist values. So our stance on this is basically we are tackling it. Our member organizations all around the world are doing their own job. We, as Humanists International, we are going to launch in the next few weeks a campaign run by our Young Humanists International section. It will be called Young Humanists Climate Action. And I invite you all to join us on this endeavor.
Okay, let's go to Marty. You should be able to speak now.
Yeah. Hello, Gaetani. It's really good to Giovanni, see you in person. I've read about your work. My question I put in the Q&A is because you get 200 or so requests now in this last calendar year, starting in 2020 to today, what is the most frequent intervention that you try when these people reach out to you? I know you hire lawyers, you feed their families, you may send them money to fly to a safe place, find asylum, but I'm sure all 200 of those people are not going to qualify for that kind of expense. So what is the other kinds of intervention you do that is the most effective?
So I'm gonna, thank you for this question because it's very important to reply to it. Let me share with you my screen so that I can show you this graphic. Can you see it?
Yes.
So basically, this is the kind of support we provided in between July 2020 and 2021. As you can see, 34% of the support we provided is basically advice or referrals, which means that basically after we evaluated the case, each case one by one, we either provide them advice on how to proceed, like legally or diplomatically, or in case these individual cases don't fall in our mandate, we refer it to organizations that are able to help. Because maybe I didn't say it, no, I didn't say it, but we receive a lot of requests for help also from Muslims, people who are still Muslim, persecuted by other Muslims. And this is not within our mandate, but we still want to help. So what we do, we send them to organizations that can help them, or Christians and so on. Or people that maybe are persecuted for their sexual orientation. This is not our main mandate, but we believe that they should be supported. So we refer them to other organizations who are in a better position to help them. As you can see, 12% is emergency grants. This is the actual funding. Let me show you, sorry, I shouldn't do this. You're seeing my screen, I guess. 1 second, yes, let me show you this. So basically, yes, in the last 12 months, we have spent £26,000 in emergency grants to assist 17 humanists at risk in 9 countries around the world. Basically, when we give out this money, we cover their medical expenses, legal fees, relocation costs, and general subsistence, including rent and food. Now, usually, the vast majority of this money is spent in relocation, because people who's not safe in their countries wants to either relocate internally to a safer place or abroad. The problem with the pandemic is that made impossible to travel, made impossible to get a visa to go abroad. And so this year, the relocation cost, the relocation expenditure are really low. Humanists within a pandemic faced a double challenge. They were already discriminated against before, but then with the pandemic, they were discriminated even more. Not only they could not travel to a safer place, but they were stuck in houses with their families. And for example, if you were in a very Muslim family and you were not if you didn't come out of the closet, you were forced to pray 5 times a day as a Muslim. This is to give you the idea of how harsh the discrimination against humanists at risk can be during a pandemic. So other kind of support, so as I said, relocation is very low for this reason. Other kind of support is asylum request with the United Nations Human Rights Council. We basically refer humanists at risk. Sorry.
It's the UN Council on Refugees.
Sorry, you're right. Thank you for correcting me. You're 100% correct. And then we pay the legal fees to hire lawyers. And in some cases, we actually do campaigning in countries. Mubarak Balak is one of the examples. We are actually putting a lot of pressure on the Kano authorities. Kano is one of the states in Nigeria where Mubarak is imprisoned. So again, I think I provided some details, but let me know if it's not. And yeah.
That's a very, very good and clear chart. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are going to publish this information in the next weeks because it's important information to share. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. So on that note, 2 related questions. Mubarak Bala was supposed to have had a court hearing on July 22nd. Did this happen? And then the second question, other ways other than providing financial support for individuals to help your organization with your work?
Okay, so wait, I lost the Zoom. Okay, so replying to the first question, Mubarak Bala was supposed to have a court hearing in Abuja on 22nd of July. The problem is that the accusation didn't show up at the meeting. So the meeting was adjourned again to, I forgot when it was. Sorry, it was adjourned again. I don't remember to which date. Off the records, this is a clear strategy to don't have a fair trial. And okay, I cannot say much because we are live on Facebook, but the lawyers are working on it and they have a strategy. Sorry, I cannot say more because we are live and, you know, I think it's clear. The second question, I missed it.
The second question is how can, other than providing financial support, and what other ways can people support your work?
Well, financial support is key. What I would say is that raising awareness about the condition of atheists and humanists all around the world is also important, because we live in a bubble where we think that everyone knows how discriminated humanists are. But the moment you put your nose out of your house and you go out on the street and say, do you know that 17 countries Spanish apostasy? Do you know that 69 countries Spanish blasphemy? People don't know it. And when I say, for example, to my friends and people I meet for the first time, I work for this organization that defends the right of atheists, people says, rights of atheists, why? And then you have to tell to people there is a huge discrimination against atheists. So financial support, raising awareness, and then what I can say is that try to do the best to increase secularism and humanism in your own country, because in the long run, I'm talking about 20, 30 years, there will be a sort of drip-off effect, and the situation will improve also in other countries, because we can set an example. We can show to people that living in secular societies where humanism is flourishing is best for everyone, is the best thing for everyone. Actually, countries where humanism is flourishing are objectively championing human rights. So I think it's a mixed work. We have to work on many fronts. And yeah, I think it's a good answer. What do you think?
Okay, next question is, what does Humanists International think about Bill 21, which is Quebec's secular law, where a teacher, for example, cannot wear religious symbol? And I'm not sure if you've been following this case, but yeah.
I'm not familiar with Bill 21. I know that in France, there's something similar. Well, this is a tricky question. Humanists International in general thinks that individuals should be free to express their beliefs freely, as long as they don't interfere with the freedom of others. I think the issue with the Bill 21 and other bills like this is that you are doing this during in a public function as a teacher in a public school. And as long as this is equal for everyone, is not just targeted to one specific religion minorities, I think it's still an equal treatment. I think Humanists International in general didn't take a stance in particular on Bill 21, and we generally rely on our members. So I don't know what Humanists Canada think about Bill 21. Maybe we can ask Martin, but we tend to be very liberal. We are a liberal movement, so I leave it to Martin.
Giovanni, I know in the interests of time, I won't spend a lot of time, but Humanists Canada actually took a neutral position on the issue of Bill 21. And within our organization, we did a poll, and well, the greater majority of our members do not support Bill 21. We also had a significant minority of members who did support Bill 21. Mm-hmm. And so hence we took the neutral position on this.
But it's great that you had a participatory and democratic approach, and that's what characterized the humanist community. So well done for this.
Okay, we have time check at 4 o'clock. However, we do have 5 more questions sitting in our chat box. Would you like to address them? Should we address them?
Yes, very quickly.
Very important questions. The one from Ivan. Mm-hmm. He and his friends are starting a humanist organization in the Dominican Republic, the first of its kind. Can you offer some support or guidance on that?
Of course. Iván, hablo también español. Entonces, no, I'm joking. You can write to me in Spanish to the email that I just gave you on the slide. It's giovanni@humanist.international. We have resources for new organizations. So if you send me an email, even in Spanish, I can help you to set up an organization in Dominican Republic, 100%. So John Doodle is asking, hi John, by the way, is Humanists International participating in COP26 in Glasgow in November? Yes, we are planning to be there with some statements, and yes, the answer is yes. Well, Robert Hamilton, individual supporter and president of Humanist Ottawa. Humanist Ottawa, by the way, is fundraising for our Protect Humanists at Risk campaign. So thank you so much, Robert, for this. I think the End Blasphemy Law Coalition is actually accepting new partners. In any case, if you send me an email, we can check on this. I think we are going to relaunch it at the end of this year, because we want to expand the coalition also to religious groups that support our goal, that is to end blasphemy laws. So again, Robert, if you can send me an email, I can check this out and we can discuss it there. Thank you again. And the final one, I guess, always from Marty Shoemaker, who is another individual supporter of Humanists International. Do you have a list of mental health workers to provide counseling to these suffering individuals? I would think mother tongue consideration is a key. How many do you have working in this way? So very interesting questions. The project that we are funding right now with Faithless Hijabi works in English and in Arabic. We have been able to support in 3 months 15 humanists at risk with a minimum of 8 therapy sessions. Humanists International is not directly supporting these individuals, but Faithless Hijab is doing it. So if you want a list of names of professionals, I can put you in touch with Faithless Hijabi. And yes, that's basically the answer.
Okay, and last question from the chat. From Peter, I find it surprising that India has risen on the list of states where humanists are at risk. It has a long history of recognizing secular views. However, is this changed because of the Modi government? So
yes, it's changing with the Modi government because Modi is using Hindu nationalism as a tool, as a populist tool, and is fostering hatred, religious hatred, basically. But India has been a hotspot against atheists since a while. In 2015, Narendra Dabholkar, a rationalist, an atheist, was killed. In 2017, H. Farouk was killed. He was the administrator of a WhatsApp group of atheist people. He was killed in the street. And Babu Gogigani, maybe some of you know him, faced discriminations very recently after he went to the Big Brother program in TV. And our members and associates in India are still persecuted and face discrimination on a daily basis. For example, Narendra Nayak, the president of the Federation of Indian Rationalist Association, is currently, he has a bodyguard, 2 bodyguards paid by the state. So it's escorted, yeah. So yes, India, it's a hotspot for us.
Thank you. Marty, would you like to add something? Or is your hand is that from before?
Mm-hmm. It happens sometimes,
yeah. I guess it's a ghost lingering there. Okay.
I just wanted to thank Giovanni for coming and introducing to our viewers the incredible work of international humanists. And as a humanist chaplain, we don't have these problems with our native-born people, but we get students from Muslim countries and from India, and I've had the opportunity to work with them and help them understand that they live in a very different country that doesn't have blasphemy laws because they're frightened to come out and actually speak about their experiences.
Exactly. And thank you so much to Marty and all the other individual supporters for making this possible. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thanks again, Anna and Martin, for this invitation, and I'm happy to do it again whenever you want.
Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you. Comments here in the chat box, and I believe people have your email address, right? Would you like to? Is it in the chat box? Would you like to?
Let me write it again. Let me write it again.
Maybe type in the website as well in case someone might be interested in contributing to the Humanists at Risk campaign.
Exactly. So
we will send your email out to participants following.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Martin. And thank you also for sharing it on Facebook, so everyone who was watching it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Giovanni, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for being here and supporting us in this work. We're happy to be able to support you in this important work that you're doing as well. And it's always good to know what's going on around the globe. And finally, I would like to invite you, to our listeners, to fill out the post-webinar survey, where you can suggest speakers and topics of interest to you. You will receive a link in the follow-up thank you email. And you can find more information about our next webinars in the planning phase on our website and social media platforms, as well as in the newsletter. And once again, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Giovanni. Thank you, Martin.
My pleasure.
And thanks to our listeners.